Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Get ready because your perspective on, well, basically everything is about to be entirely shifted. Today, we're embarking on this phenomenal journey together. We are going to start out at the staggering, completely incomprehensible scale of deep space, and then we're going to travel all the way down into the intimate, microscopic biology within your very own body. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this material because the way it connects the unimaginably vast with the incredibly small is literally going to blow your mind. Let's get into it.
So think about this for a second. What could possibly connect a 32,000 kilometer per hour cosmic wind, howling through the vacuum of space, to the microscopic strands of DNA coiled up inside your cells? I mean, it sounds like an impossible riddle, right? Well, stick with me here, because by the end of this explainer, the relationship between these two absolute extremes of nature isn't just going to make sense, it's going to be incredibly clear.
Section 1. Extreme winds of space. Okay, let's dive into this. To really wrap our heads around the extremes of the universe, we first need to look at the extremes of weather. And to do that, we kind of have to start right here at home, contrasting Earth's most violent atmospheric events with the frankly terrifying physics of deep space. 480 kilometers per hour. According to the source data, that number represents the absolute fastest recorded wind speed on Earth, which was captured during a massive tornado in the US back in 1990. To put that kind of power into perspective for a second, a human being starts to lose their physical balance at just 100 kilometers per hour. At 250 kilometers per hour, the wind can literally pick you right up and throw you. And at 500 kilometers per hour, well, that represents absolute certain destruction. There's just no surviving that. But as terrifying as 480 kilometers per hour is, it is absolutely nothing compared to what is actually out there.
Now, you might want to brace yourself for this next one. 32,000 kilometers per hour. Scientists have discovered this exoplanet located 500 light-years away from Earth named WASP 127b. And on WASP 127b, the wind doesn't blow at hurricane speeds. It rips across the planet at 32,000 kilometers per hour. It's a speed so violent it honestly defies our earthly comprehension. Let's just contrast these two realities for a moment. While Earth's maximum threshold for human destruction is right around 500 kilometers per hour, WASP 127b is playing an entirely different game. If winds of 32,000 kilometers per hour were to suddenly hit Earth, it wouldn't just be a bad storm. The sheer force would instantaneously strip away our entire atmosphere. Everything on the planet's surface would be pulverized into fragments in mere milliseconds. It perfectly illustrates how incredibly precise the parameters for life on Earth truly are. We take a calm, gentle breeze totally for granted, but out in the cosmos, a breeze can literally be a planet killer.
Section 2. The true scale of stars. Let's transition from the terrifying power of space weather to the sheer, incomprehensible physical size of these cosmic bodies. We walk around thinking of our world as massive, but as we're about to see, scale is entirely relative.
1.3 million. That is the massive number of Earths that could fit comfortably inside our sun. Think about that. Now, our sun is actually just considered an average-sized star. It doesn't look all that big when we glance up at the sky. But knowing it can contain 1.3 million Earths establishes a baseline of massive scale that we really need to keep in mind for this next part.
Are you ready for this one? 100 billion. The source material points us to Stephenson 218, which is the largest star discovered to date, sitting 19,570 light-years away. It is so unimaginably vast that 100 billion of our suns could fit inside of it. 100 billion. Compared to Stephenson 218, our massive, life-giving sun basically shrinks down to the size of an invisible bacterium.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how we can anchor this absurd scale to a totally relatable human concept. Imagine you're on a commercial jet flying at a constant 1,000 kilometers per hour. It would take a little under 2 days to fly all the way around the Earth. To fly around our sun, that same jet would need 202 days. But to fly just one single time around the circumference of Stephenson 218, you would have to fly non-stop for 856 years. When we view human existence against a backdrop like that, our physical footprint in the universe is staggeringly microscopic.
Section 3. Our galactic dance. The universe isn't just massive, it's highly dynamic. So let's move from the size of these stationary bodies to how these massive objects actually move together in complex, dizzying patterns. You know, a lot of people picture our solar system as this stationary sun with planets just running predictable laps around it. But that's a really incomplete picture. This brings us to a concept known as a galactic year. Our entire solar system, the sun, Earth, the whole shebang, is moving together as a single unit, orbiting the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And it takes 230 million Earth years, just to complete one single lap. And let me tell you, we are definitely not moving slowly. Our solar system is hurtling through space at roughly 828,000 kilometers per hour. We're being pulled into this incredible cosmic dance by the gravitational force of a supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy called Sagittarius A star, combined with the gravitational pull of the 40,000 other galaxies that make up our local group. So literally right now, just by sitting there listening to this, you are traveling at nearly 1,000,000 kilometers an hour. How wild is that?
Section 4. The fabric of space. So how exactly does all this movement work? Let's shift our focus to the mechanics of space itself, zooming in on how gravity and motion function in what is essentially a grand cosmic ocean.
The source material presents a super fascinating analogy here. Because there is no friction and no gravity in the empty vacuum of space, celestial bodies like planets, stars, and even whole galaxies don't really drive or fly. They essentially float. They move through the vacuum much like massive marine animals gliding effortlessly and gracefully through an immense, frictionless ocean. This is exactly why astronauts practice for spacewalks in giant swimming pools. Water is the absolute closest analog we have to the zero-gravity environment of space.
The explainer source notes a really intriguing historical and theological parallel regarding this whole concept. It highlights that in the Quran, specifically Surah Al-Anbiya, which dates back some 1,400 years, the Arabic word yaspa is used to describe the movement of celestial bodies. The source points out that yaspa translates to swimming or floating without resistance, a description that impartially mirrors our modern scientific understanding of orbital mechanics and how objects move in a zero-gravity vacuum.
And the source draws another striking conceptual parallel right here. On one hand, you've got Albert Einstein's revolutionary 20th century model of gravity, the space-time fabric, where massive objects literally bend an invisible fabric to create a gravitational pull. And then on the other hand, the source notes a reference from the ancient text of Surah Ad-Dariyat, which describes the sky as something woven, or containing a fabric-like structure. The source's author really highlights this as a profound conceptual similarity between groundbreaking modern physics and ancient theological descriptions.
Section 5. Cosmic and biological parallels. Let's move to and see how this builds into the final stage of our journey today. We are now dropping all the way from the mechanics of the cosmos straight down into human biology and looking at the incredible visual echoes between the two.
The source material presents a series of rapid-fire visual comparisons that are honestly just spectacular. When you take a high-resolution image of a deep space cosmic nebula, which, by the way, is a massive cloud of gas and dust where stars are actually born, and you compare it to a macro photograph of a human iris, the visual similarity is completely uncanny. The structures, the radiating lines, that center void, the eye perfectly mirrors the nebula.
And this brilliantly illustrates the next comparison. We have the macrostructure of the universe itself, the cosmic web, showing how whole galaxies cluster together via dark matter filaments. And when you compare that to the microscopic neural network of cells inside a human brain, wow, the branching, the nodes, the interwoven pathways that literally create human consciousness, they look almost entirely identical to the structure of the cosmos itself.
It goes even deeper. The source highlights the Helix Nebula, which is a massive planetary nebula located hundreds of light years away. Its distinct, twisted structure perfectly visually mirrors the double helix structure of human DNA. The very building blocks of human life echo a shape that is found painted across the deep void of space. Finally, the source points to the visual echo between birth on a macro and a micro scale. The explosive radiating energy of a star igniting into existence shares a striking visual parallel with the biological, microscopic process of a single human cell dividing to create new life. It's basically the same blueprint. So the crucial point is, how does the source material actually interpret all this data? Well, the author of the source material imparts a specific theological thesis based on these observations. They argue that these unified repeating structural patterns, spanning all the way from the macro scale of galaxies down to the micro scale of human biology, are definitely not random. Instead, the author argues this points directly to a single engineering source, attributing this unified design to one creator, Allah, as cited in their reference to Surah Al-Baqarah. The main argument being that a single creator uses a single repeating signature.
Which leaves us here with a genuinely profound thought to ponder based on the material we've unpacked today. Are these mirroring patterns, spanning from those terrifying 32,000 km/h cosmic winds on distant exoplanets, all the way down to the woven strands of our own microscopic DNA, simply a remarkable mathematical coincidence of physics? Or are they, as the source suggests, the ultimate signature of a grand design? I really encourage you to reflect on everything we've covered in this explainer today, to look a little closer at the world around you, and to keep seeking your own answers. Thanks so much for exploring with me.